The High Performance Imports Drift Nationals held at Calder Park saw D1 drivers visit Australia for the first time. 5 drivers came over to perform demonstrations, but they were all keen to see the skill level of Australian drifters too. Entrants came from as far away as Adelaide and Brisbane, which led to some strong interstate rivalry between drivers. Here's Bowser from Adelaide battling Betty from Melbourne. The course was new to most of them, with the final corner into the straight causing problems for some, especially as the surface on the straight was more slippery than the corner itself. Adam Newton from the Full Lock team drove this R32, which was later used for the D1 demos. James from D1 Garage had one of the best looking cars there, an S14 200SX with an S15 nose conversion. As the eliminations continued, Darren Appleton from Brisbane started to make his mark in the blue 1V. Mick Taylor in the green 180SX was showing good style, but needed more power for this track. Darren's ability to link the last 2 corners was one of the elements that saw him move ahead in the competition. Danny Verhumis from JMS had some handling and reliability issues in his new Pink Bit Sylvia, but he certainly put on the best smoke show. As the event boiled down to the top 8 factory entries, the level of drift seemed to improve. But then came the most controversial battle of the event. Darren was meant to lead this battle, but Danny got the jump on him from the start. Darren then locks up to avoid hitting Danny, who runs wide on the next corner. Trying to regain the lead, Darren goes for a pass up the inside, but unfortunately taps Danny's car in the door. As Danny spins going onto the straight, there's just no avoiding this hit. Though not everybody saw it that way. From this angle, you can see that the bump in the ripple strip is what bounced Darren into Danny's car. Both cars copped some serious damage to their rear quarters, but nothing that couldn't be repaired. Darren managed to continue in the competition, with his Parker light dangling and the exhaust hitting the ground. With this pass, Mick Taylor took third place from JJ. The battle for first place was between Darren and Christian from JMS. It's a close battle, but this corner entry seemed to be the deciding factor, giving Darren Appleton the win. Of course, any drift competition should end with some burnout action. That's Simon Mickelmore doing donuts around Christian's 180SX. Darren still had enough rubber left to join in too.
I was hoping for that. As long as we fix it all on the exhaust, I was happy.
During the day, there were 2 D1 demos by the Japanese drivers. First, Hibino Tetsuya tries out the HPI Sylvia. After a couple of runs with the other drivers, he gets into a tight battle with Tatani in the white 180SX. A bit too tight, as it turns out. Oh well, it was a good excuse for us to fit wider front guards. For the second demo, 5 cars went out together. Tezuka was in Adam's R32, Bai drove James's S14, Hibino drove Trent's 180SX, and Tatani had the dented white 180SX. Unfortunately, the HPI Sylvia was out of action, so Sato was left with a near-stock S15. Egged on by the big crowd, all of the drivers had some fun before the demo run. This wasn't really planned, so they just made it up as they went along. most surprising part was Bai doing donuts with his foot up on the open door. On the first pass, Tezuka overshoots the corner, but surprisingly this doesn't put the other drivers off. On each pass, the formation drifting gets closer and closer, except for the S15, which just couldn't keep up. After 6 passes, the back tyre starts to delaminate on the R32. As Tezuka reaches full speed on the back straight, it lets go completely, sending him into the spin. Amazingly, he catches it and still drifts through the first corner. This awesome save was probably the highlight of the event, judging by the reaction of the crowd. Tezuka seemed pretty stoked about it too. That wasn't the only amazing thing the D1 drivers did though, as later Tatani decided to join in on a dancing exhibition. He did a surprisingly good job of improvising, while the girls struggled to maintain their composure.
Okay, other one.